28-16, the 6th seed. That's where the Philadelphia 76ers sit as we speak. And to be honest, that's totally unacceptable. A team that has as much talent as they had with Joel Embiid, Ben Simmons, Al Horford, Tobias Harris. This is a team that should be a top 2 seed in the East, worst case scenario. So what do? What players should the Sixers trade for? On this journey, we're going to be breaking down 2 trade scenarios. 2 trade scenarios that I think that the Sixers need to truly look at making at least one of these moves to be able to bring in the talent that's needed to help get this team from where they are to where they need to be. Let's get into it. Welcome back to Journey of a Ballaholic, the best talk show for basketball addicts. I'm your host, General Hannibal X. Now, in this episode, we're going to be discussing the 76ers and what trades they need to make before the trade deadline in order to get themselves from the pretender status that they're right now up into the elite status of the contenders for the NBA championship in 2020. Now, if you watch some of my past videos, I broke down why the 76ers, as talented as they are truly not an NBA contender. If you didn't see that, make sure you click the card up top so you can go and check that video out. But the summary of that is that right now, the Philadelphia 76ers are sitting with the 20th ranked offense in the entire NBA. 20th. When you've got multiple all-stars, a bona fide superstar who is an inside-outside, do-it-all two-way player like Joel Embiid, you can't be 20th in offense. That's just unacceptable. So a lot of this I blame on roster construction. I also blame a lot of this on Brett Brown and his lack of coaching. For instance, Ben Simmons is a player that everybody sees the talent. There's no way that you don't see that. But he hasn't truly taken that next step to develop that jump shot to really space the floor like Philly needs. One of the things I would love to see Brett Brown do with Ben Simmons is to be able to put the ball in his hands in transition, but in the half court, you got to take the ball out of his hands. You need to be able to use guys like Tobias Harris, even Richardson, even more than he has, and allow those guys to play in the pick and roll as the ball handler and put Ben Simmons as the screener. Why? Because at 6'9", 6'10", he truly is an elite finisher, but he's not a shooter. Teams are going under the screen, packing the paint, literally packing the paint when Ben Simmons has the ball in the half court. I would use Ben Simmons almost as if he's a big man in the half court setting. Put him in the dunker spot when he's off the ball, or put him as the pick and the roll man, as the pick man, so that he can set the screen and roll to the basket, and or use him like Golden State uses Draymond Green. Draymond Green with Golden State will set the pick for the ball handler. When that double team comes, or when the big man has to play that ball handler who's coming off that screen, now you're able to drop the ball to the screener, which would be Ben Simmons in this situation, and now he has the defensive in front of him to be able to pick and choose where he wants to make the passes. He's a great passer. He just doesn't have the shot yet to be able to get the defense to respect him. So a couple of the trades we're going to discuss are going to be options that I think the Sixers really need to look at to be able to maximize on the talent that they have. Here's a little disclaimer. These trades are not blowing up the 76ers. We're not talking about sending Ben Simmons out or sending Joel Embiid out. Honestly, I don't think they're the best fit for each other, but for this season, if they want to try to maximize on winning a championship or at least getting to the finals this year, you got to keep those guys together. It's too late in the game to try to make a drastic change for this team. So let's look at some of the around the edge and some of the margin trades that they can make with some of the role players to be able to bring in the right type of help, the right type of roster construction. Let's start right from the top. And I think one of the best moves that they can make, one of the guys that they need to be on the phone with right now trying to figure out how to get him, is Bogdan Bogdanović from the Sacramento Kings. Listen, I put this into the trade machine and it checks out. If you give up Mike Scott, let's say Zaire Smith will be the key piece in this because he's young, he's got a lot of potential. He's a guy who, with Sacramento in that high-flying offense, could truly excel. Also, you got to include a first-round pick. To make Sacramento really want to, give up a player like Bogdan, you got to give up Zaire Smith, a first-round pick, and throw in Mike Scott to make the contracts work. If you do that, the 76ers are now getting a guy who at just 27 years old giving you 14 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3.6 assists, and he's shooting very efficiently from the field. He's giving you 42.8% from the field and also giving you 38% from 3. That ability that he has as a playmaker, that ability he has to be able to play with the ball, without the ball, that's what Philly needs. They need a guy who, when Ben Simmons is out running on the break and he's pushing the ball, he's got shooters that's spreading out that he can get the ball to. Also, if Ben Simmons doesn't have the ball in his hand, you could put the ball in Bogdanovic's hand and allow Ben Simmons to set that screen as I was just talking about. And now you can't go under that screen on Bogdan or he's going to drill it. So now that big man has to come up, which allows Ben Simmons to roll to the basket where he can finish with either hand and or be able to drop it off to another player or just move the ball as efficiently as he does. Bogdan, I think, will be an excellent pickup. And here's another reason why adding him would be perfect for Philly. Think about this. He's already coming off the bench. This is not a guy that you have to now try to bring in from the trade and insert him into your starting lineup, messing that chemistry up with your starters. Allow the guys that you have in your starting lineup to stay, bring him off that bench as that sixth man, and now, like I said, he can be almost like a 1/2 off the bench. You will still have Trey Burke, you will still have Kormaz, so you got added shooting that you need. Philadelphia right now is number 23 in the NBA in 3-point makes and number 25 in the NBA in 3-point attempts. It's not going to cut it. That's why their offense, or one of the reasons why their offense is so inefficient. They're not taking and or making enough threes. Bogdan has had, 13 out of 31 games this season. He's made 3 or more threes. 3 or more threes in 13 out of 31 games. He's a guy that's going to open the floor up when he comes in. If Tobias has to come out, if Richardson comes out, if Ben Simmons comes, whoever comes out, he could be that first man off the bench to come in and could play multiple positions. He's got good size of 6'6". I think he'd be an excellent pickup for the Sixers. Now, the second option is a more intriguing option. And I say that because this may truly, as much as I like the Bogdanovich addition, I actually like this one even better. How about Philadelphia trade away Trey Burke, Zaire Smith, throw in Jonah Bolden, and a second-round pick for Derrick Rose. Now, the Pistons right now are in the process where there's a lot of rumors that they're trying to blow this thing up, right? Trading maybe Andre Drummond away, Derrick Rose may be on the market. So if they're going to look to blow this thing up, overload them with some young players, some draft picks, and if you can get your hands on Derrick Rose, another guy who's used to coming off the bench, who right now is giving you 18 points per game, he's giving you 6 assists, and he's doing this in about 26 minutes off the bench, shooting 50% from the field, almost 32% from 3. Now, Rose is not the 3-point shooter that Bogdanovich is. We understand that. But what Rose has done is that in 11 of his 37 games this season, he's hit multiple threes. Once again, another guy who you can put the ball in his hand, he can shoot, but that's not his specialty. Rose's specialty is being able to come in off that bench and run the offense. You can play him with Ben Simmons, you can play him without Ben Simmons. Put the ball in his hand, he can go get his own shot, and because he's able to get into the paint, he can create shots for others. Right now, Philly doesn't truly have that secondary ball handler. And because Ben Simmons truly is their only main elite level ball handler and playmaker, he's having to do everything. He's having to have the ball in his hand, running on the fast break, run the offense in half court. It's just not working. Once again, picture Derrick Rose with the ball. Let's say Ben Simmons setting that screen, and or let's say you want to have Joel Embiid set the screen. You could put Ben Simmons in the dunker spot under the basket, right? On one side, have Joel Embiid come up, set that screen. Joel Embiid's ability to pick and pop and or pick and roll. Now Derrick Rose is coming off the screen with Tobias Harris in one quarter, Al Horford maybe spread out to the wing and or the other elbow. You've got spacing. Derrick Rose is a threat when he comes off that pick. Ben Simmons is not a threat in the half court when he's running the pick and roll because teams just don't respect his jump shot. Rose is not an elite shooter, but he'll take them. Once again, 11 out of 37 games, he's hit multiple threes in the game. Derrick Rose to me would be that guy, that super 6 man, That's super significant. If you're giving somebody 18 and 6 assists, and you're doing it in under 30 minutes, that's a super sub. And Rose can do that. He can be there for them. Right now, Philadelphia is in a position where they don't have a lot of time to decide on this. Because Ben Simmons, he's got a really good contract right now. But you're going to have to make a decision in the future who to keep, Simmons or Embiid. Right now, it would be a clear-cut favorite to keep Embiid. But Simmons has a better contract. So Philly's got some decisions they've got to make in the future. So you want to try to maximize on having potentially four max players on their team. You want to go ahead and try to do that. Now, here's some other things that you got to keep in mind. Philly, there's some guys that you would just want to consider untouchable. And one guy I think that the Philadelphia 76ers have to keep off the table in any trade discussion is Matisse Thybulle. This young fella here, if you have not seen him, he is a hound on defense. That's one guy that, even though he's got a low contract, he's a young player. The potential for him specifically on the defensive end, he is an all-world, all-NBA, first-team defensive caliber player for multiple years. That's not somebody you want to give up for somebody in a win-now situation. And that's what Derrick Rose would be. He would be more so in a win-now situation type of trade. However, the Bogdanovich pick is a little bit more interesting because he's younger than Rose. He's in the last year of his contract making about $8.5 million this year. So if you bring him in, you have the ability to see how he plays with the squad and to potentially re-sign him this summer. Either one of those options I think are good. A guy who can play make. It doesn't have to be a superstar. They don't have to go out there and try to acquire some starters on the market and blow this whole thing up. I don't think they need that. They're 6th place right now, 28-16, but they're not too far away from that second seed. I don't know. I don't like the way that they're being coached. I don't like the way their offense is flowing. I don't like how Joel Embiid and Al Horford are meshing. They've got to figure out something with this team. Something with this rotation. Maybe one of their big four needs to come off the bench. I don't know what the solution is. But what they have right now is not working. And there's a couple of guys that you just can't do anything about right now. Joel Embiid, Al Horford, you just signed Tobias Harris. You paid Al Horford all this money. So these guys you truly can't do anything about. I like Josh Richardson. I think they should put the ball in his hands a little bit more in that half court, allowing him to be that ball handler with that starting unit, unless Tobias Harris has it. I think he needs to have the ball in his hands more. One of those guys has to take the ball out of Ben Simmons' hand in the half court. In transition is a different story. Get it to him, let him fly up the court. That's when you want it in his hand. Once the defense gets back, settle down, get it out of his hand, and let him become a big man, typically. Or as far as a scheme-wise, right? What do you think? Go down to the comment section below and let me know some trades that you think the 76ers need to make in order to get over the top. What do you think about adding a Bogdanovich? What do you think about adding a Derrick Rose? Is there somebody else that you would add other than those two? Go down to the comment section below and let me know. As always, I appreciate you for taking a look at this video. Please consider subscribing to the channel, hit that like button, and tap that notification bell so that you can stay updated with the journey of a Ballaholic.